We've had a lot of fun doing questions and answers from cyberspace with Nehemia Gordon, but this one question's very serious. It comes up over and over again. I'm just going to read it to you. Why do you have Nehemia Gordon on your show? I heard he is convincing people to deny Yeshua. How can you condone his antichrist activities? Well, Nehemia, what do we say to that?
Michael, you know that they have this fantasy that I go around and I hold people in the back room with the big light and I say, deny him, deny him. Let me tell you what my life is really like, Michael. A few years ago, I was on this airplane and I'm flying to Seattle and I'm sitting next to this woman and she's telling me she's a Christian, but from speaking to her, I can tell that she actually doesn't know the first thing about Jesus, literally. And I asked her, have you ever read the Gospels? And she said, no, but I saw the movie. And she tells me that she saw the Gibson movie, Passion of the Christ.
Oh.
And I said, so do you actually know what Yeshua did, what Jesus did in his ministry and what his life was? She said, no, but can you tell me? So there I am, the Karaite Jew on an airplane to Tacoma, SeaTac, and I'm telling this Christian, I'm literally sharing the Gospels with this Christian woman. I start out and I tell her how, according to the Gospels, he was born in Bethlehem and grew up in Nazareth, and he's 12 years old teaching in the temple at the Torah, and she'd never heard any of this stuff. And, you know, so people have this fantasy, and I think they want me to be a counter missionary and, an antichrist.
Yeah, they can't imagine you being really what you are.
They want to put me in a box that they're familiar with and comfortable with, but I don't fit in that box. I'm a box breaker, and you know, I get a lot of flack from the Jewish side. I get people, get people on the Jewish side who, say all kinds of negative things about me because I'm not doing what they want me to do. I'm not following the agenda they have for me.
Unhealthy.
My sister says I have an unhealthy interest in Jesus. My cousin goes around telling the family, I think he secretly converted to Christianity. And you have to understand, that's like saying, that'd be like spreading a rumor saying, we hear he's gay. It's really, in that community, it would actually be better to spread the rumor that I was gay than that I'd convert to Christianity. It would be less of a negative thing in the Orthodox Jewish community. They've come to accept that. But no, not somebody converting to Christianity. And look, I am what I am. I'm a Karaite Jew. I believe in the Tanakh. And I interact with people on common ground, people like you and others who love the God of Israel, and Yeshua's your Rebbe. You believe he's your Messiah. Look, I'm coming from a different perspective, but I say, rather than me trying to convince you, let's meet on common ground. Now, recently, Michael, I had a very awkward situation happen. This woman walks up to me at one of my speaking events in Quantico, Virginia, and she says, Nehemia, I know you're not a believer in Yeshua, but you led me to him. And I said, oh boy, now I'm really going to get in trouble. But I also thought, if I tell this people, no one will believe me. So this lady's name is Shamika. Can we listen to her testimony? I said to her, Shamika, no one will believe me. You must make a recording of this, or no one will believe that, they'll see he's making it up. So please, guys, listen to Shamika. Please. This is what this lady has to say. She drove over an hour to meet me in Quantico, Virginia, and share this with me, and then sent me this recording.
Nehemia, I'm Shamika, and I just wanted to thank you and let you know that even though you don't believe in Yeshua as the Messiah, you helped bring me to him. Growing up, I was a Christian because I believed in Jesus as the Messiah. And my mom and I tried to be good people. We tried to treat people as we would like to be treated, but we weren't really religious. We didn't read the Bible at home, and we only went to church on Easter and sometimes on Christmas. A few years ago, I felt this void of not having a true relationship with the Creator. And I prayed to him that if he would just reveal himself to me, if he would just speak to me and tell me his name and tell me what he wanted, that I would follow him and that I would do it. And so I started reading the Bible and I started going to church, hoping, to be led in the right direction. I wanted to have this moment, where the clouds opened up and I heard this booming voice that said, Shamika, this is my name and this is what I want you to do. And that is not what happened. Instead, I went to church Sunday after Sunday and still felt this void and still felt like something was missing. And so I decided to stop going to church and to just read for myself at home, to get rid of the pastors, the preachers, the teachers, and everybody, and just try to figure it out on my own. And this time, instead of just staying in the New Testament, I decided to just start from Genesis and work my way to Revelation. And this was very interesting because I started reading things about concepts that I had never heard about in church, like feast days, holy days, the concepts of clean and unclean, the Sabbath. I would hear statements like, "These are my statutes forever. This is my everlasting covenant. If you do these things, you'll be blessed. If you don't do these things, you'll be cursed." And that completely clashed my Christian concept of grace. Where all I had to do was have faith and then I'd be saved. And so I was just like, wow, why haven't I heard any of this in church? I don't hear anything about Easter or Christmas, but I do see something about Passover. And so, that completely just, I was boggled. And one day, out of frustration, I just Googled, what does God want? Because what I had been told and what I'm reading didn't connect. And I was trying to figure out, what do you want? So I Googled that, and a lot of articles about commandment keeping came up. But I wanted to let you know that, like, one of the things that really changed me, and one of the things that led me down the direction that I'm now currently going, is you had a teaching on YouTube called the Hebrew Yeshua versus the Greek Jesus. And that video just kind of opened my eyes, and I saw things totally different after that, because I realized that, you know, the Christian picture of Jesus is misleading. His name wasn't Jesus, it was Yeshua. He was Jewish. He lived the Jewish life. He spoke Hebrew. He lived by the laws of Jehovah given to Moses. He didn't come to abolish it or teach against it. The only thing he came to abolish and teach against was the man made laws and statutes by the religious leaders of that time. And so I was just completely shocked. And the words have been there the whole time. It's just that Jehovah used you and and your method of teaching to help me see it. And I'm thankful for that. I had also prayed that he would tell me his name. I wanted to feel as if I was speaking to the creator of heaven and earth, the one spoken about in my scriptures. The one that was there to speak to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and, to lead the Hebrew people. That's who I wanted to speak to, but I wanted to know his name. And I came across the teachings of by you and Keith Johnson about proclaiming the name, and I found out that his name was Jehovah, and that's really hard for me to say. And so a lot of times I just say Jehovah, but I was so happy that he had a name, because there are people out there who don't believe in our scriptures, who don't believe in our creator, who don't believe in our faith, who have no association and want no association with the Hebrew people, and they say God and they say Lord. And, I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted him to know that I'm speaking to him. And so I thank you for that. And after that, I started learning from other teachers, in the Hebrew roots movement, and I found a great group that I'm a part of today. We just try to stay away from conspiracy theories and, our own thoughts and understanding, and we just try to follow, Jehovah, and just try to stick to his word. I'm not a Christian. I'm not Jewish. I'm not even messianic. I just read the word and try my best to live it. I don't put myself in any box, and I don't allow any other groups to put me in their box based on their theories. I follow Jehovah, and I align myself with his people. And to me, his people aren't only a bloodline, it's whoever submits to him and follows his ways as he intends and not as they interpret them to be. So it's amazing how Jehovah used a Jewish man like yourself to bring me into a true relationship with him and my Messiah, Yeshua. And to me, that shows me that anything is possible. Like, he is in control, truly. And I just want to thank you again for your teachings. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity to personally share this testimony with you. And I thank you for coming, all the way over to my part of the country, over here in Virginia, and, and sharing your message with this small group. So, again, I just wanted to say thanks. I really enjoyed myself.
Well,
Wow.
there it is, Danny. I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
I'm the one that got the question, that got the criticism in this
Yeah.
case. You get the same thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And you
yeah.
get the same thing while you associate with me, okay?
that's-
Yeah. I come with a lot of baggage that he has to carry too. But listen, she prayed to know the name. Where do we find it? Nehemia Gordon's work on this, of course, the Shattering the Conspiracy of Silence, but here it is, Proclaim the Name, Volume 2 of the Open Door series. This is the Karaite Files. This is really Nehemia's walk, his journey. He begins laying it out in the revelation that happened, how the open door happened to him to begin with, that he now is not shutting, he's keeping that door open and walking through it, proclaiming the name, which it changed this girl's life. She Googles, what does God want? Her heart's desire is, after a world in churchianity, is that what does God really want? And what happens? The doors open and she goes to what? She goes to the Hebrew Yeshua versus the Greek Jesus. Where did this come from? It came from the question, the honest, sincere question I asked one person I knew that wouldn't judge me on it. And I took Matthew 23 to Nehemiah, and I said, there's no way on God's green earth Yeshua could have said everything the Pharisees say and do, sit in Moses' seat, you have to do. I know he couldn't say that. Nehemiah did the work on it, and that resulted in this book, The Hebrew Yeshua versus the Greek Jesus. You're going to learn more about Yeshua than you have in your entire lifetime of sitting in church from a Karaite Jew. If you want to criticize and condemn and complain about what I am doing, you in this ministry owes so much. What we're able to get out to the world owes so much to a man that God has chosen and put in this particular position for this day and time. I know that he has been led by the Spirit, and you're whining and moaning out there, people, because, what you hear about Nehemia Gordon, you don't know Nehemia Gordon. This is the only chance you get to know him, because we're on here together. I stand with him. He is speaking the truth from his heart. He's trying to open up the scriptures to people, who make up their own Hebrew language, who violate every law of the Bible and every law of language to come up with the most contorted, conflagration of insanity, and palm it off as the new Hebrew roots nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where you're getting it right straight. We are going to keep the door open. We're going to keep proclaiming the name. We're going to take a stand against the ban. This is what is changing people's lives, and here you hear it right from Shemika. Because of him and his position and him declaring what Yeshua is teaching. He's not trying to convert people to be believers in Yeshua. I tell you, man, this guy would be nothing but tarred feather. He'd be the next guy crucified in Jerusalem for doing that.
I think that may happen, Michael.
By his own family. But what he's doing is honestly saying what Yeshua said. And that's it. This is why Nehemia is one of the most hated people in the Messianic or the Hebrew roots world. That's why they don't want you listening to him, because he's actually telling you what Yeshua said, and they're not doing it. And that exposes them as frauds.
Here's this woman who, because of a question you had, and you had the humility and the to come to me, 16 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the fruit of that all these years later is this woman who's searching for God. She's basically given up on the church. And she said, what does God want from me? And the oracle of Google gave her the answer and led her to the videos. and now she's walking in her faith.
That's right.
Beautiful.
And what is she watching? She's watching the video that we did together, which is
right.
Raiders of the Lost Book.
That's right.
Get it. Get the whole thing. Nehemia has his little piece on the internet, his center section. The whole thing is a treasure, and the whole thing finally leads to years later when Nehemia lays in my hands the ancient Hebrew text of Matthew with Yeshua's true lineage from ancient Hebrew text sources. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a ball. Enjoy it with us, okay? Don't judge each other, especially don't judge others according to a measuring stick that you could not possibly measure up to yourself. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's confusing Arabic and Hebrew.
Reading these ancient things in handwritten Hebrew.
Oh, yeah, these are Hebrew manuscripts.